We have Stefan Jaselowitz from MiX Telematics. Evening, Stefan. Good to see you again.
Evening. Thank you for
So
having
you
me.
had some numbers out, and you're particularly pleased about the growth in subscribers.
Yes, great quarter from our perspective, close to a historical record, over 20,000 subscribers added this quarter. And that's had a great effect on our subscription revenue line, which is also up nicely above guidance, above our expectations. So very pleased with that.
So who are these, before I ask Bright to come in, who are these subscribers, and what does it bring the total to?
Yeah, we've got a mix of products in our portfolio, from our Beamy, which is a basic asset tracking device, Matrix, and then our FM Fleet Manager, which is our very high-end fleet product, which is used by a multitude of large fleets all over the globe, effectively. We've got customers in 119 different countries. And our 20,000 ads were a mix of retail customers, sort of on the insurance risk management side, all the way through to what we call power users on large fleets, trucks, buses, those kinds of fleets.
Yeah. Right?
Yes, so it's very interesting the kind of business you're in, because it's it benefits from the trends of the likes of Amazon, as they move more and they increase their fleets in terms of delivery and just in time, to make sure that the customer gets their product in time. So my question is, which are the countries that are you seeing the most growth in going forward, especially since you've had a record quarter this quarter? So I'm interested in hearing that.
No, thank you. It's Bright. We obviously started the business in South Africa, so we're well established here. We've got great brands and maybe a more mature market, although we've been executing well. Our team here is still doing very well, growing well. But the growth we expect going forward, and we're starting to see it, is in Latin America and in North America, where we're a relatively new player.
Yeah.
So we're starting off a low base. It's a less mature market. We've seen surprisingly strong growth out of Brazil in this quarter, despite a tough economy. So we're pleased with that. We've seen a turnaround in our North American business, which had 5 quarters of tough going, primarily because we're focused. We've got a big focus on the energy sector there, and when the oil price tanked, our customers were struggling, cutting back their fleets. So we had a bit of contraction there. That's turning around now. So we're starting to see fleet expansion there and revenue expansion, which is good. So I would say the Americas is likely to be our star performer in the next year or two, but we're seeing good performance out of Africa, Middle East, Europe, and Australia.
And I think it's true to say a company that has cutting its teeth and founding in South Africa, tough environment where you've got to come up with the goods to sell. So actually you've got a competitive advantage going to other countries which may be first world environments, but perhaps aren't as well developed in this particular field.
No, you're absolutely right. So I guess driven by security concerns, large fleets in South Africa were early adopters of this kind of technology. They saw the opportunity to manage their risk better. I started the business 20 years ago, so it was really in its infancy. We're pioneers in this kind of space. And yes, you're right. From a South African perspective, we're world leaders in vehicle and fleet telematics. So even first world countries, are not as advanced in terms of usage as some of our larger South African fleets, interestingly enough.
So that's very interesting. So there you just confirmed the fact that the technology is so cutting edge, the technology that you guys are building, because of South Africa being one of the, in terms of risk of security of these trucks and these vehicles getting stolen and stuff. So is that true?
It started, the drive from the fleet started over security concerns.
Yes.
Of course, as they started seeing what the technology could do, the fleet owners were saying, okay, security is a side issue now. It would be great for me to know how my drivers are performing, manage my routes better, lower our fuel costs. And as the technology evolved, we were able to do more and more with increasing bandwidth, lowering costs of data, and technology enabled us to do a lot more, and became a much bigger business.
It's as if security was the equivalent of voice. And now all the other stuff's like data. You've got all those extra things that you didn't think of when you started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you about the US and the Americas generally, and you must have been very interested when Donald Trump came in, because now what he's been saying about protection and protecting US companies and so on, you must have thought, my job to think about this and anticipate difficulties.
Yeah, well, it's, we're not sure which way it's going to go. So, for the record, I live in the US, and
but you must be thinking about it.
Yeah, no, there's no question. So, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of, I guess, the world economies going forward. Not only out of the Trump effect, but Brexit, I guess, as well, and Putin, a few other things. But I've been doing this for a long time, 2 decades, and some experience in other businesses as well. These cycles have opportunities, and our job as business leaders is to try and figure out where the opportunities are going to come from, irrespective of what the ultimate political effect is going to be. But which way it's going to go in terms of global economies, your guess is as good as mine at this stage.
I don't have any questions with regards to politics.
Yeah.
I'm just more interested in the business.
I was thinking of the protection thing in particular, where sudden hostility perhaps to foreign businesses or perceived foreign businesses, which can then affect revenue, new customers, saying, well, we don't want to upset the government, don't want to upset the president. Risks to the business. I mean, you've done well, as you say, and you've got proprietary technology which you're keeping ahead with. So your job also, as the CEO, is okay. So where's the catch here?
We built a well-diversified business by design. So we are quite risk-averse coming out of South Africa. So we understand risks, particularly FX, foreign exchange risk, which we've seen some pretty significant up and down cycles over the years. And we built a business where half our revenues are not in rands anymore; they're in dollars, sterling, and euro. And
so a weaker rand suits you?
A weaker rand suits us. So at the moment we're facing a headwind in terms of our revenue because we're getting less rands for our foreign income than we got a year ago, and we've grown despite that. But you're right, we are a rand hedge, so a weaker rand would absolutely suit us. So we've got foreign exchange. We have geographic risk, but with customers in 119 countries, we're pretty resilient in terms of. And we've seen it over the years. I mean, we never have 119 countries performing well. You've always got problems in some region or another. So we're pretty well diversified. Not to say that we don't have our headaches that keep us up at night.
So, competition. That's what I'm more interested in, especially in the local front. Since you said this, South Africa is more like a base for you guys. If you had one bullet, which competitor would you shoot?
No,
that's a way to put it. Huh?
That would be really putting me on the spot. But it is a very competitive environment, particularly in South Africa. We've been in a tough competitive market for the best part of 20 years, and we compete well. We're growing despite that. I believe we're growing our market share. So I think our team here is doing a great job, and we're pretty happy with that. But we've got 3 strong competitors in the South African market, and
it's not hurting.
And if I had one bullet, I'd like to line at least 2 of them up so I could get maximum advantage with it. But
are you still a South African company? And if so, how do we know?
Yeah, we're definitely a South African company. Our primary listing is on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. We did do a capital raising. We got a secondary listing in New York a few years ago. So we have our hands full relative to our size. Our reporting and compliance process, quarterly reporting, and all of that is quite interesting and significant. But it's been a great learning curve from that perspective. But we are a South African company. Our R&D. Global R&D is done in South Africa. We've got a great tech setup in Stellenbosch that handle all of that development for across the globe. Our hosting and operations are done in South Africa. This is where we started, and it'll always be the heart of our business. And what's really pleasing is that we're growing into a true global operation, which is exciting. Great business story. That is Stefan Joselowitz, founder and CEO of MiX Telematics.